Howdy everyone, Daniel Sabler here. A lot to talk about today. Sweeny and Hulk Hogan, and also about a book. So let's start with Sydney Sweeny. I don't know why people are mad about her, but whatever they're complaining about is always stupid. However, when you look at it from a Christian angle, she's still, it's not that modest. It's more modest than what modeling has been trending. It's more modest than what the liberals have been asking for, which you know is great. But since she is a female and sex sells, they still couldn't resist having her unbutton that jean jacket and showing a little more skin than just keeping it closed. Now they have shots of her that just are great. They're just, fully covered and what have you. And it's like, you can't tell me her face alone couldn't interest people. You can't tell me she can't interest ladies into wanting to look into that outfit. Although the liberal crowd, they might say, well, no, you've got to take all that off and put on underwear because, feminism. I always find it ironic, that stitch, freaking, hey, let's show men what they can't have and can't control me on what I'm wearing by taking it practically off. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. What I also find hilarious is how feminists will complain about Hollywood exploiting women and then go on to basically say, dress like that. Just don't make the Hollywood elites make you dress like that. Make it make sense. Either you're dressing like that or you aren't. My hope would be that you wouldn't, because we don't need that. Let's be honest with ourselves, men. You men out there, especially married men, it doesn't take much for a guy to look at a girl. For instance, if she has, big boobs, men are going to notice. And she could wear the baggiest shirt to try and hide them. Men are still going to look. Same with ladies, I really don't know what they look at when it comes to guys. But we men don't have to wear real tight pants to get a girl to look. We don't. I'm going to assume that, and I'm pretty sure we're right. In fact, my whole life I've been told, dress nice and wear an air of confidence. Radiate confidence. That's what I was always told. So if men radiate confidence, it's just spewing off of them. Girls will take a look. You don't have to take your shirt off in the middle of a crowd or even for a camera. Just don't. As Matthew West said, modest is hottest. And it is nice to see that, hey, you can still be modest and sell. If you can get past the not so modest photos of Sweeny Todd's. Ha! Sydney Sweeny. Idiot. But anyway, it's just nice. But at the same time, we need to throw an air of caution, like Allie Beth Stuckey has. And God bless her for that. I know her show's more targeted towards the females, but that doesn't mean she's wrong. And we should celebrate that. Modest is hottest. Period. Alright. Next topic is joyous and disheartening at the same time. The reason it's great to celebrate this in a joyous capacity. Hulk Hogan was awesome. I remember watching him as a kid, WCW. He was my favorite for the WCW. Stone Cold Steve Austin for WWE, and I know Hulk eventually joined the WWE and all that, but Hulk Hogan was awesome. He's one of my favorites. And I'm more joyous now because he passed away knowing Jesus Christ. And that's the most we could ask for anybody. Anybody. We will gladly take a new believer passing away than a long-time believer in knowing Jesus Christ. And I'm not saying that that's less of value. I'm just saying, like, it's great when God gets to take home his child, new believer or not. It's great. But it is awesome because what makes it awesome is Hulk Hogan turned to Christ months before his death. That is awesome. But what's disheartening is seeing all these people blow up like they did with Paula Deen and, the Papa John's guy. Who else? Oh, he said something racist. Oh, Hulk Hogan said something racist. Come on. Every single one of us has said something racist at some point or another. I know I have. Heck, as recent as, 7 years ago. I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm just saying it happens. And in fact, you learn what he said. Was it really that racist? Oh, he preferred his daughter to date a more rich black man? Oh, my goodness gracious. That's sad. Someone died. I don't sit here and crack jokes on liberals I can't stand when they pass away. If Joy Behar all of a sudden goes, I'm not going to make fun of her. I'm not going to try and call out her past. I don't know her. But yet we think we can take it upon ourselves to degrade someone who died. It's sad. And God bless all the conservatives that actually have the nerve to say, no, Hulk Hogan was actually a decent man. He has friends from the wrestling world that still speak highly of him. You think he didn't wrestle with some other colors of skin? He did. But, whatever. It's just another rabbit hole that people keep jumping down and hoping something sticks. And then what makes it go even further is people like myself talk about it. But it's news, right? So you got to talk about it. Anyway, God bless Hulk Hogan, his family, his wife. Hopefully they've been able to cycle through their emotions with Jesus Christ on their side. Death is never easy, but it's easier with God. And we hope that for the best. Just a second here. Alright. Now what I wanted to talk about is a story that surprised me closer to the end. I still haven't finished it yet, but I'm almost there, and I have thoroughly enjoyed the ending so far. Act 3, so to speak, of this book. And what I'm talking about is The Timekeepers, okay? The Clockwork Chronicles, Book 1, by Jill Archie. And how I found this book was on a Christian writers group on Facebook, and I decided to look it up. And it's steampunk. I'm not huge on steampunk. I'm not. But it'd be interesting to see what kind of story she came up with. And it's not disappointing. It's really well written. It's adventurous. To me, it starts a little slow, but it really builds momentum in the middle when Onyx, the main character, goes through her tragedy. It really builds, and so it's worth sticking with it to the very end. It is, and I'm going to finish it. I have my own writing projects and other things to deal with that slow me down, doing these videos, but I love reacting to what I've read because I think we need more of it. This book it's clean. It's a teenager novel through and through. It's the growing through a life event. And it's everything that reminds me of the past. It reminds me of DJ McHale and all his Pendragon series, his Silo series, which is really good, by the way. This is something adults can read and enjoy. But even more than that, parents, you don't have to feel a sense of shame if you tell your kids about it. And they go, yeah. Let's say you got a 10-year-old that's already at a high school reading level. Boom. It's really more of a middle school to high school reading level. But regardless, it's a good story. It's good. I gave it a 4-star on Amazon, but that was before I got to the point where I'm at. I'd probably give it 5 stars to redo it because it's good. And to be honest, the older I'm getting, the more in tune with my faith in Christ, the more I don't want swearing. I don't want sex. Whether in books, TV shows, or movies. Anymore, it's really turning me off. Now, those things don't necessarily make books bad. Now, well, James Patterson recently, one of the books I was reading from him, it was like talk of sex every other chapter, and that gets old. You know, if you write in one sex scene in the whole book, maybe two, okay, I can get past that. In fact, I may even skip it. And I'm going to be fine. Because it's just not necessary. For instance, my favorite author, Lee Child. He has some of that stuff. He has cussing. He has, but it's not much. And I appreciate that. Because I still cuss, and I don't want to cuss. And I know saying the A word isn't always bad. But it's definitely not good, depending on context and how it's used. The Old English, the word jackass or ass, was harmless. It meant donkey. But in context, we don't use it that way, so it can confuse people today, especially the younger ones. And excuse my language, hopefully YouTube doesn't strike that. But I'm not labeling it for kids. So, but anyway, I don't like that stuff. So it's nice when it's little to none. And Jill Archie, none. Yes. And especially for a teenage novel, it's the way it should be. You want to have a little romance, a little boyfriend, girlfriend, hugging, maybe kissing, whatever. That's pretty typical too, as part of growing up as a child. Boys get interested in girls, girls get interested in boys. Of course, boys now have to be a little careful because there might be a boy that thinks he's a girl, and that another rabbit hole, whole different discussion. But anyway, I highly recommend it. You can get it on Amazon. The Timekeepers, The Clockwork Chronicles, Book 1. So that means also look out for Book 2. But this one, I believe she just published in 2024, so give her a little time to get the second one out. But I'm looking forward to it. Again, give it a try on Amazon. Review it. I don't know. Whatever you want. This is another nerd saying some words. God bless.